fired her to create her own armor at MIT. She was expelled for using
Is this thing on?
For an unapproved
Have y'all watched Ironheart yet?
Tony took her in to mentor her, and
Yo.
after he died, he left her with an AI hologram.
This is Brian Aries' breakdown of Ironheart. I've watched Ironheart. You know I gotta get cool for y'all. I've watched Ironheart, and Ironheart is amazing. Ironheart is amazing. You know what I'm saying? It's got a whole bunch of hip hop references in there, which is why I like it a lot. I mean, it brings like a different cultural side of the Marvel universe for me personally. You know what I mean? It brings a whole cultural side of the hip hop. I think it's fire. So this is Ryan Airy talking about it. Ryan Airy actually got he actually had an Easter egg in this video. So y'all probably gonna see this. This just started. So watch out for any spoilers. Watch out for any spoilers right here. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't seen it yet, but you gotta watch it.
So
let's go.
The show is picking up elements of that without having to actually pay Robert Downey Jr. millions of dollars to appear in the series. Natalie admits that her MCU crush is Thor.
What do you want more than anything? I like the thorn his hammer.
Which is pretty standard.
I don't think Thor's technically.
Yeah, you know, she talking that talk.
Now, see, for me, it would be F Thor.
It's like his muscles are made.
F Thor.
Not to mention that he made goddesses faint upon sight of his other hammer. Now, all of this is a pretty standard dead loved one flashback like we've seen many times before.
What are you doing, John?
This is the premium garment duffel 45 liter by half day. It's a transformer.
Not the Adiante.
Bag for long weekends, wedding.
What is going on here?
Is necessary in this episode to show us Riri's trauma. Just like in the comics, her stepdad and best friend were killed in a drive-by shooting. And the reason she's making suits isn't so she can be a superhero.
My suits would shorten the response.
I just gotta feel like it's messed up that they got killed in a drive-by shooting. Like, come on, like, what was he involved with? Like, obviously, like Marvel Universe, they're probably gonna tie it in. I feel like if I'm gonna make a prediction, they're gonna tie it into what's that show? Big with Daredevil. All right, let's go.
Firefighters, search and rescue teams, etc.
Maybe if the EMTs and firefighters would have had these suits, then her stepdad and best friend would still be alive. But this is also setting up the end of the episode when Natalie's consciousness becomes her new AI. But more on that in a bit.
Hey, guess what? It says here that robot politicians are going to vaccinate our kids and turn them into AI.
Doug, that's not...
Wait, hold on. I am still reading. We just need to pay.
I think it's crazy how he has the dog as part of the show.
No, that is fake news. None of that is true.
Right, jeez. Then how am I to know which news to believe?
I know it's hard because most news out there is hyped up.
All right, this is an ad.
To get you engaged to sell you ads. It's really hard to decide. There's a story that just sees the online how plastic bears a year. You are feature.
All right, we gotta skip that ad. The ad within the addy.
Montage of Iron Man 1. But remember, Tony Stark gave a talk at MIT in Captain America's Civil War, where he talked about himself, but then gave everybody a bunch of money.
All of your projects have just been approved and funded. No streets, no taxes. Reframe the future.
So Riri going to MIT shows how she is the next generation of Tony Stark. Like Tony, she's also headstrong, she doesn't play by the rules, and she has a darker side. Tony was
she's fire.
And even after he became a superhero, his desire for control and his ego led him to create Ultron.
Tony Stark is one of the illest people in the MCU for sure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he actually like really made sure the MCU popped off. As a character, obviously. You know what I mean? Robert Downey Jr. did a great job of portraying Tony Stark, since Iron Man 1. That was like a great movie. And then, Iron Man 2, and then, Captain America, so forth. So shout out to the MCU for doing a great job of the casting of Robert Downey Jr. I don't know what came with it, but I hope it was great. I'd love to be part of MCU. So if y'all see this and you'll be like, you know what? All rhymes commentating or being part of it. You know, I can act too. You know what I'm saying? So let's go. I can even be like, you know what I mean, like a superhero. Look at these guns. All right, I could be a Black Hulk. Stop playing. Brown Hulk.
Also wanted
Let's go.
revenge on Bucky for killing his mom, while Riri faces her own temptation in this episode to become a thief. Now she tells herself that it's for the greater good, the same lie that Stark always told himself.
My old man had a philosophy. Peace means having a bigger stick than the other guy. My father helped defeat the Nazis. He worked on the Manhattan Project. A lot of people, including your professors at Brown, would call that being a hero.
In this montage, we also see footage from Wakanda Forever.
That's
of
crazy.
Riri working with Shuri to build her suit. Now she calls this an internship abroad, and Wakanda actually does have an internship program like this in the comics. But all of this heroic stuff is intercut with her hustling to make money on the side, selling projects and test results to students at other schools. But she's not raising money to build the suit, she needs an AI to power it.
Oh, but why?
Well, going back to the first Iron Man movie, like as soon as Tony builds his second version of the suit, he installed his AI Jarvis into it. The suits have so many different functions all happening at once that it takes an artificial intelligence to monitor everything going on. This is why, as soon as Tony loses Jarvis, he uploads Friday into his new suit. And it's why Peter got Karen in Spider-Man Homecoming. In fact, according to Daniel RPK, many of these AI are going to be in humanoid form in the upcoming series Vision Quest, which I am like bananas excited for. In the library,
That's crazy.
her cash in the book, look out for The Little Guy, Scott Lang's autobiography that we saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But the other book here is open to chapter 2 in the Dickens novel Great Expectations. Note the line here.
See, everything's for a reason in the Marvel Universe.
Is about an orphan named Pip who, like Riri, struggles to rise up through the upper classes. Now for Pip, it's about rising through the English aristocracy. But for Riri,
You already know. If you watch the episodes, I just be kicking the camera lately. Because I got the camera on a new tripod over here. Just got a little closer angle. I still got my old angles,
Great
though.
Expectations also contributes to the theme of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Miles has to write a paper on the novel, and he ends up creating a graffiti of the same name, because he has the great expectations to live up to the legacy of Peter Parker. And notice, during the exchange, she's wearing a Michael Jordan shirt, a nod to her hometown of Chicago. And on the whiteboard here, there's kind of a cool nod to the movie Sinners, which was written and directed by Ryan Coogler, this show's producer. So this reads, Griot's algorithm. And a griot is a storyteller in West African folklore. In the movie
I just ate some griot. I'm Haitian.
Storytellers. Griot is also the name of Shuri's AI in Wakanda Forever, who guided Riri during her chase from the feds. I think she's written it down here to try to break down how it worked so she could replicate it for her new suit. But the griot algorithm is also a real concept. It's the idea that the way African storytellers passed on knowledge could become the basis for an AI developed by African scientists. After selling this guy a force field, she flips through her notebook and we see power with the question mark, because without an arc reactor, Riri would have a hard time figuring out how to power her suit. I also think this question about power is going to come into play in future episodes based on what I've seen in the trailer. I promise I haven't watched ahead. These are no spoilers. She's drawn several designs of the armor on different pieces of paper, similar to how Tony's original plans could only be read if he stacked them on top of each other. And then we see Professor Wilkes. This is Jim Rash reprising his cameo from Captain America Civil War. Now Rash had that cameo because he worked with the Russo brothers on the show Community. This is also why Danny Pudi, Yvette Nicole Brown, and Ken Jeong have all appeared in their MCU films. In fact, actually, with Joel McHale and Donald Glover appearing in different Spider-Man movies, only 3 members of the Greendale 7 have not appeared in the MCU. Then it turns out that she was actually narrating to her counselor, following the long-standing MCU tradition of narrators actually talking to people who were in the scene, like we saw with Tony Stark, Thor, and Korg. And guys, I am so excited to share these new shirts that we just launched for our merch.
Alright, the merch. Shout out to Ryan Coogler and the merch. They always got good merch. Not the Addy.
And $9.99 a month for a music app.
I'm getting hungry.
$12.99 for a fitness app, and more money for a bunch of other apps.
Subtle bit of self-importance here, that because he met Tony Stark one time backstage, he feels like he's an authority on Tony Stark's legacy. As she's snatching her gear, the song T by Cobra plays, and it's a song about a girl getting over a breakup by talking shit. And the first line is, the queen has arrived. So Riri has now broken up with MIT, but she's looking to keep what's hers. Just like in the comics, she grabs her armor on the way out of MIT, and notice how the armor still has little Tinkerbell jets in her hands, just like in every variation of Tony's armor. Now, her AI in the suit was provided by the school, and it's a pencil named Trevor. Now, this seems inspired by the annoying Microsoft paperclip that always pop up and ask if you needed help. Her password
Right.
is 30216RW, and this is probably a nod to her first appearance back in 2016 and her first appearance as Ironheart in Iron Man Volume 3, Issue 3. And there's also similarities here to Tony Stark's first fight out of his garage in Iron Man 1. And even though both characters ostensibly built their armor to do good deeds, they both have a lot of fun flying around them. Now, when she asks for a route to Chicago, he brings up the 70s rock band, and actually it's one of the best live shows I've ever seen. They played with Earth, Wind, and Fire. It was incredible. Highly recommend. And I want to note that
This is fire. I don't know if y'all watched this, but
for this armor with
it was
her
high,
brand
so
money. Next, we meet
it was
the
her
Hood
suit.
gang hiding in a van that promises
She didn't
friendly
steal it.
neighborhood service. Maybe a nod to the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Two of the gang members are called the Blood Siblings, but I think they could be a nod to the Blood Brothers, a pair of alien villains from the comics. One of them is named Clown, who is an absolutely brutal assassin from the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run, and Slug is also a gangster supervillain who I think has nothing in common with the character in this show. And the great Eric Andre
Yeah,
is
I'll-
Stuart Clark, aka Rampage. Now, in the comics, he started
they
a
casted a trans person for that role. I mean, which is inclusive, so that's inclusive.
A West Coast-based team that started in the 1970s. And actually, the champions will probably be coming soon to the MCU as a super team that Kamala Khan forms while she's in California.
Yeah.
I'm putting together a team. And I want it.
Now, to get in the house,
Yeah,
the
she had
Blood
the
Siblings
Nick
use
Fury
Cyphers
plug
and
so she can
Dragon's
put together a
Breath. Remember
team.
that for later. It'll probably be important. And when the alarm goes off, everybody breaks out into one of those highly unrealistic movie fights where everybody is an expert in hand-to-hand combat instead of just pointing guns at each other. But this slide across the table was very cool. The person in the chair in the passenger seat of the Hood's Humboldt electric car is played by none other than the legendary Shea Coulee, who is also from Chicago.
My name is Shea Coulee, and I'm from Chicago.
Now, after they call the heist off, we meet the gang leader, Anthony Ramos' Parker Robbins, aka The Hood. Now, The Hood was created by Brian K. Vaughan, Kyle Holtz, and Eric Powell.
Okay, that's the character of The
The
Hood.
Hood issue 1. Now, I recently read this comic book for the first time, and it's pretty damn good. I always knew
That
The
shit,
Hood
that
from like his
la-
role
that
in
shit
Civil
up my
War,
head.
where he unites all the supervillains into one team that he leads. But the comic book shows us that Parker Robbins was really a small-time loser whose life was always split into good and evil halves. Like he was a
shit.
prostitute, but he has a loving wife at home. He idealizes the villain Electro, but turns
That's
out
the
a Hydra
character.
agent. And this duality plays into his powers, which have a demonic nature. See, he was an ordinary small-time
The higher
loser
age one might have been
who's opposed
Mephisto.
to a demon, which give him powers like invisibility, teleportation, and enchanting his pistols to make them more powerful. But the cloak actually made him a host for the spirit of Dormammu, who you remember we saw in Doctor Strange.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, Dormammu, Dormammu.
Mommy! Mommy! Mommy!
Strong
Mommy.
mystical and demonic themes in this show. Parker's back tattoos seem to be a stylized version of a Taino sun symbol, which is the name of the indigenous people of Puerto Rico. The Taino sun symbol represents life, creation, origin of all life, and symbolizes inner strength. Parker also wears the flag of Puerto Rico on his chest as a tattoo, representing the large Puerto Rican population within Chicago. So we go from the aborted heist to a doomsayer on the street.
That's the beginning.
Now, anytime we see a doomsayer like this in a movie or TV show, we're always meant to think that he's crazy, but there is usually a hidden importance in their words.
Yeah,
For instance,
yeah.
in The Watchmen, the crazy doomsayer turned out to be Rorschach. Now, that could be referring to the upcoming multiversal crisis with incursions, but more likely it's about a demonic entity set to take over the Earth later this season. And right when he says,
They can't save us this time.
Riri's faceplate drops from the sky. A way to say that, sure, Tony Stark can't save you, but Ironheart can. After she's locked out of her armor, it begins to disintegrate. And I just love this whole sequence. Like, the entire scene is shot as if they actually had to film a person who was flying. It's like the team asked themselves, if we had to film a flying person, where would we mount the camera? And that's how we get this great shot where the camera is strapped to her legs as the rocket falls off. This kind of care in the CGI is important because subconsciously, we know when an effect shot would be impossible to shoot, and that takes us out of the illusion. Like this shot of Bruce Willis in Die Hard 2. There's actually no way they could have put the camera to capture that shot without visual effects, so it just doesn't feel realistic. The armor falling apart is also like her first mission in the comics, when her suit basically disintegrates after she punches a truck. And the title is done by creating words within the scene, and we saw this a lot in the underrated Marvel show Ms. Marvel. She lands next to a mural painted by Mitchell Caton and Calvin Jones with
We call it
celebrating black
underrated.
artists such as Billie Holiday,
Invasions
Dizzy
was underrated
Gillespie, Miles
too.
Mabley, Nat King Cole, Stevie Wonder,
But they hated
Steve
on
Baker,
that.
and several others. This is the South Side of Chicago, a traditionally black neighborhood that still proudly advertises this business as black owned. And this is also Riri Riri's neighborhood in the comics. As she's walking down the street, they call her.
Damn, hey, where is it still?
And she also went through a similar struggle in the comics, trying to decide.
This is like an hour long.
That wasn't a diminutive Riri's mother. Their double life house, Miss Stanton, played by to practice among spiritual practitioners to clean
That's actually important.
Crystals or other ritual objects. Riri's mother asked Miss Stanton,
which crystal is for what?
This is what your ear looks like.
Not the Addy.
Filled with wax.
Thank
Here's
you.
a cotton swab. Watch. It just
mentions black obsidian. And in Agatha All Along, this is also the stone that the Coven uses to protect the pathway for the Green Witch, witchcraft for protection, for grounding, and for aligning with your past. This stone is great for Riri because she's entering a new chapter of her life. She's in her, which is a callback to the night her father and Natalie died in the shooting, where her father says,
And why'd you do it?
Because I could.
about building a brand new engine. Now, Xavier, because he is Natalie's brother, he raps under the name Gorgeous George, and I think listen to it. He asked her about her. And this is heartbreaking. In the comics, the Barracuda was her stepdad's car, and they worked on it together. Crashed, but Shuri restored it as a gift for Riri. Now, this car was what she had left of her stepdad, and she sold it to raise money for her suit. And this shows how she is pouring her heart and soul into creating this, discovering that he had a heart, while Riri built her suit by sacrificing her heart.
Like the famine.
12 years old. He's grant money like we saw in Civil War. But we also see that Riri graduated high school in 2020, so she's actually not in the crowd that Tony speaks to in that movie. After John offers Riri a job, she goes to this pizza parlor to meet up with them, and she passes by this poster of the Chicago Bulls championships listed. In the freight elevator, she's given a death trap test, you know, like something out of Saw. Rules and trying to get out a gas mask that they provide for her, she decides to literally think outside of the box and liberate herself from death. Now, when she meets the team, she recognizes Rampage from a Tech Builder Discord. Just filing that information away for later. Or maybe I'll talk about it on our very own free to join Discord server. Links are in the description. Now, I have not seen Riri is at a crossroads. She has this incredible talent, but as she likes to point out, she does not have Tony Stark's resources. It would be like the ones to make a suit that see
iconic.
Bargain, offering to he sampled her best friend that her stepdad and Natalie died. And I think this is setting us up for the rest of the season. Her gradually learning putting your entire heart into what you create. And
Ironheart.
Riri, ultimately, she probably blames herself.
Ironhead.
She can stop feeling Stark building his suit. We see the goggles, pounding metal on an anvil, looking at the faceplate, and just like Tony Stark in Iron Man 3, she is burying her trauma in her work instead of actually coping with it. It could be amplified. She plugs her laptop into this H-shaped device that she took from MIT, which might be the processor to create a new AI. The song playing during the montage is Centerman by the great Nina Simone, and it's just like Centerman is rejected. Riri has tried to build Parker Robbins in the suit, but she's also looking for power in her life. And on the lyrics, "Go to the devil," we cut evil whispers here. From a psychological perspective, Riri herself from grief and loss, helpless and anything but in control. So, people that she loves. She craves respect so that other people won't try her or threaten the people that she holds most dear. Meanwhile, Riri falls asleep thinking about her friend Natalie, which is probably why the AI takes her form. So actually, we'd be more focused on trauma and gives her examining themselves, but not seeing any evil.
Okay.
Call me neuro-autonomous. Technical.
Here is a persicker, a Bulls coach who won the science fair prize for robots when he was just a kid at MIT. Riri confirms that she was trying to replicate Griot, Shuri's AI that helped her drive her suit in Wakanda forever.
Hey, Mr. Griot, I could really use that backup right now.
I thought you'd never ask.
Outside, we see that she lives on Riri, picking a name close to her roots, is on hero name. Avenue, which will eventually become her superhero name. Outside, we see that she lives on Ironheart Avenue, which will eventually become her superhero name. Riri, picking a name close to her roots, is also talking about is working to build
If it makes me rich.
century. They were often built through black neighborhoods, decimating those
Okay,
communities.
yeah.
According to History.com, this happened in major cities like New York, Miami, Chicago, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, Oakland, Nashville, Baltimore, Atlanta.
Yeah, we
and
know.
Tunnel uses a Panther. Now, the gang gets Riri on their side by making it sound like they are doing this to protect their community, when it's bargain that Riri makes to get what she wants. Then we're formally introduced to everyone, and we learn that this.
Hey,
The
Turner.
ticking clock on Riri.
Turn up.
the heist, she needs a working set of armor. So Natalie helps her find a list of black market parts dealers.
Let's go. This is what they talk
This
about.
list has some really fun Easter eggs on it. Daniel Horvath is a Hungarian footballer. Garrett Mitchell is a baseball player, while several Marvel crew members from this show and other projects are mentioned, such as Amy Hawkins, Haley Tierman, Nate Delker, Hero Lamb, Paul Gelhav. Ryan Airy is the name of a YouTuber for the channel Screen Crush, and Mark Walters is the owner of the LA Dodgers.
Wait, did you say your name's on the list?
No, I don't think so. We have no black market tech here. But if somebody did put my name in the episode, then it's really a huge honor to be officially canon in the MCU. I just want to thank whoever and all you guys. I want to thank everybody for watching, and most of all, thanks to the incredible team that I work with, because I wouldn't be here without them.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible! Yeah! Anything's possible for Ryan Airy.
He used to sing Bonnie and Clyde by
Yeah, he made it into the Marvel Universe, man. That's crazy.
Natalie brings up that they used to sing Bonnie and Clyde by
That was a great clip.
without them. And we can be Hawkins, Haley, several eggs on it. Daniel Horvath.
This is what I was waiting to see for this whole episode.
Baseball player, while several Marvel crew members from this show and other projects are mentioned, such as Amy Hawkins, Haley Tierman, Nate Delker, Hero Lamb, other projects.
He said this show?
So Natalie helps her find a list of black market parts dealers in the Chicago area. And this list has some really fun Easter eggs on it. Daniel Horvath is a Hungarian footballer. Garrett Mitchell is a baseball player, while several Marvel crew members from this show and other projects are mentioned, such as Amy Hawkins, Haley Tierman, Nate Delker, Hero Lamb, Paul Gelhav. Ryan Airy is the name of a YouTuber for the channel Screen Crush, and Mark Walters is the owner of the LA Dodgers.
Wait, did you say your name's on the list?
No, I don't think so. We have no black market tech here. But if somebody did put my name in the episode, then it's really a huge honor to be officially canon in the MCU. I just want to thank whoever did this and all you guys. I want to thank everybody for watching, and most of all, thanks to the incredible team that I work with, because I wouldn't be here without them.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible!
And then Natalie brings up that they used to sing Bonnie and Clyde by Jay-Z and Beyonce, a song about two people who say all they need is each other, just like Riri and Natalie. But hopefully they don't end up like the real Bonnie and Clyde.
The Academy Award.
Outside, Landon is hawking next to a poster for the Stark Expo. Now, this is, of course, the annual celebration of cutting-edge science that Howard Stark
Expo
continued in Iron Man 2. It's very cool to see that it's been continued even after Tony's death, even if now they are apparently promoting a dystopian future ruled by the droid control ships from the Phantom Menace. Now, there's a QR code right here, which I'm sure connects to like an Iron Man comic or Riri's first appearance on Marvel Unlimited, but the screener was so blurry I could not get my phone to read it. If you know what it connects to, please let me know in the comments. Landon says,
stop wasting your time with methods like e-commerce.
Not the Addy. That's not what Landon said.
About making money online, then you need to look.
Hey, don't blame me. Blame inflation.
And he's not kidding. Inflation would be terrible for people after the blip. 4 billion people suddenly flooding the market with cash. Eesh. Now, when she's on the L, she covers the armor with the stolen Cubs flag because it looks like the train is heading away from Wrigley after a Cubs victory. And then we meet Joe McGillicuddy. Now, there were some leaks about this guy's true identity, but to preserve spoilers, I'm not going to talk about them until the reveal. But this episode did drop some heavy clues about his past. Now, when he asked this woman to curb her dog, she's a real jerk about it.
How about you just pick up after her then? Does that work?
All out of boot bags, Joe.
Oh, you didn't check.
I'll take care of it next time.
No, I don't know. I mean, she's got a really good point. It is very hard to find just the right spot. I myself prefer to hover over a weed with my foot resting on a tree trunk.
Joe apparently had a tough past because he tries to channel his trauma by surrounding himself
The live, laugh, love signs everywhere.
On the way to his stash, Riri encourages him to be more aggressive.
Joe, you gotta demand respect. Don't
Joe said, listen, don't bring this beast out of me.
Except for me.
All right, we're going to end the stream, but we're going to come back. Yo, shout out to you, Ryan Airy.